Right, everyone. I don't know when you'll listen to it, but right now it's morning. So to very quickly look at the 3 assignment questions. Yeah, just to remind everyone again that I need an overall introduction and overall conclusion. I'll chat about how I want this presented. Oh, I don't think we'll have time for that, but hopefully we have a class before this has to be submitted and we can discuss how it would be submitted as a group come individual assignment. So if we look at the questions there, the first one is obviously Frederick Taylor, but in particular, the notion of scientific management and its relevance to organizations in 2020, whatever we are right now, 2025. And then the second one, the idea of alternative forms of work arrangements, and then also, yeah, emerging leadership styles that new generation employees will respond to. So to look at the first one, and I hope I have now not messed this up, the idea of scientific management. Please hold on a second. I just want to open those slides. I'd opened the wrong slides. Right. So just to go to scientific management. Okay. So if we look at scientific management, so here we are looking at learning unit 4, and we're looking at slide 8. So scientific management, and the essence of scientific management is that we need to make sure that everything is measured, that everything is tested, and that everything has a clear set of standard operating procedures within which employees are trained to be able to do that almost instinctively. So in terms of scientific management, it is about the production of individual workers. It worked incredibly well during the early 1900s. If we think of Henry Ford and those kind of production line type organizations, those were absolutely fantastic in terms of scientific management because you could narrowly train, you could spend a bit of time essentially training people until they're perfect. Remember my example where I, in the past, used the idea of a pit stop in Formula One, where we see the people who put the tires on, the wheels on, clear the ducts, stand there with the actual lift or the jack, etc., are trained and are massively efficient. I saw a pit stop just under 2 seconds recently. So we know that there is still some place for it. However, we need to question whether that place is everywhere. So in terms of scientific management, it is very much around work measurement, and we now refer to these individuals as industrial engineers. They'll set up procedures and you would slavishly follow a very narrow job description in terms of those procedures. So we look at each of the elements of a job, we break it down, we measure it, we find the ideal ways to be efficient. And then we link employees based on their unique aptitudes, their unique skills, and then we supervise them to make sure that they stick to those methods. And obviously, you as a manager will continue to plan and fix, but employees are there to work. It almost reminds us of the idea of park your brains at the door, because when you leave in the evening, you will have to have those brains to be an effective member of the community. But dear goodness me, please don't think here. So guys, be very, very careful in terms of this one. It is relevant in small pockets in the universe. But in terms of modern organizations, I'm not sure that this is the default setting. So in terms of the slides, again, just to get that right, it is slide 8 and 9 um, in your sets of slides, learning unit 4. We can also look at slide 10. And again, it's all about the idea of efficiency, but measuring and designing and including, engineers. And we talk about design engineers to make processes that we train people in to use within an organization. Very difficult to imagine how it's relevant now. So be mindful of when you answer that question. So the second one, and I'm pretty sure somebody will share the page numbers on the group. The second one is the idea of alternative forms of work arrangements. So we know that this is related to motivation. So you're looking at learning unit 5. So there are a couple that we use in terms of alternative forms of work arrangements. The first one is the compressed work. So what we do is we take the number of hours you would normally work into a week and you squeeze it together into fewer days. So what will happen is you can then end up with 12-hour days and still have a 3-day weekend. So having a long weekend each week essentially is the focus of this specific work arrangement. The second one, flexi time. The idea of flexi time is to almost accommodate people in terms of their natural rhythms. And when I talk about natural rhythms, I'm not a morning person, I'm a night person. I can tractor on through the night, but do not expect me to be chirpy and smiley and happy and friendly first thing in the morning. So you can work around those natural rhythms of yours, morning people versus night people. And trust me, that's a real thing because research has been done on that. Or you could also, if there's a single parent, that if that person has to drop kids off, they could drop kids off and essentially get to work at 9 o'clock in the morning so they can sort the kids out. And then also, if you have that kind of person who plays soccer in the afternoons, they can start at 6 o'clock in the morning. The rule in terms of flexible work time is that they normally have core hours. Those core hours could be from 10 to 2, where everyone has to be at work, but you can flex your time around the rest of that. Job sharing is an interesting one. It is often designed for people who have university in the mornings and have to be productive in the afternoon. So that person will start work at 12 to 4, and then you'll also have people who will work from 8 to 12. Often those are single parents who have to be at home in the afternoon with the kids. So you split you split the job into. What was interesting in some of the research, and even I had friends who in their own business started that, they found that the first 4 hours is often as productive as 8 hours in a day. And the second 4 hours is as productive as somebody would work 8 hours a day. So you're almost getting 16 hours. And I know that's slightly exaggerated, but you certainly get higher levels of productivity for the same period of time worked between two people. Telecommuting, yeah. So this is the work from home. And remember, work from home, WFH, became the reality as part of COVID. I think I quite like working from home. I don't have a significant social need. I don't have a significant need to be around people. So I'm very comfortable to work from home. So some of my stuff I do work from home, and I then obviously with those. Sorry, come in. I'm just recording. That's fine. With some of those, I have to be in front of a class. I'm actually sitting in front of an empty class right now at Varsity College. So I like the idea of work from home. Now, some people cannot work from home. I have colleagues who absolutely resent to work from home. They want to be here all the time. But again, I think it has to do with your social need. I don't like traveling. I don't particularly like traffic. And for me, work from home is the ideal. Now, remember, you have to discuss work from home and those other alternative work arrangements within the context of what most of you are, Gen Z. And then the third one there, yeah, the approaches to leadership, the one that we are looking at in terms of emerging approaches. So as much as we say they're emerging approaches, they've been around for a while now. But what happens is with any kind of approach, it takes a lot of refining and a lot of holding up to the light and a lot of reworking, and it will never be perfect, but it's an evolving theory and it's an evolving application of the theory. So in terms of strategic leadership goes hand in hand with SQ, or strategic intelligence. This is the ability to look at the environment and see connects in the environment that other people miss. So when I think strategic leadership, the first person that springs to mind is always Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had an ability to see connects in the external environment that other people would never have imagined would have existed. And then the second one, it is about leading change and taking charge and having that ability to not only see and discern what the connects are in the environment, but also be able to create a vision within the organization and take people through that vision and other changes within the context of that vision. Okay. Yeah. So it is a top management thing, but I think it is also seeing the relationship between the environment and the business and how those two need to remain aligned. And then cross-cultural leadership. I think most of you already at this stage work with different cultures. Now, in terms of culture, it is religion, it is language, it is value systems. There's so many variables, and it's nationality. I think most of you at some point in your career will work with people who don't even share a continent with you, in particular when you're part of virtual teams. Also, I think we see more and more groups of foreigners working together, and understanding and being able to read and appreciate other cultures and learn about other cultures and approach different cultures is a strong, strong element in terms of successful leadership. And then ethical leadership, we've spoken about this a number of times, how we are in this crisis of ethics. There are many ways of making money, but doing it ethically appears to be a real challenge for most people. So in terms of ethical leadership, it is not just understanding the role of your own morals and values, but also taking those morals and values and turning it into a code of ethics. And inside the organization, walking the talk in terms of those ethics, being the role models in terms of what ethical behavior actually entails. Guys, and then the need for ethical leaders, but also hold them accountable, very, very important. And remember, we have this crisis of leadership. So this is Learning Unit 6, and it's slides 35 and 36. And the previous one, I'm pretty sure I didn't say it, is Learning Unit 5, and it is slide 34. Insofar as the presentations are concerned, you are doing a group presentation. You will do a PowerPoint and you'll do a voice over PowerPoint. If you want to use Canva and voice over Canva, I don't really care, but it has to be impressive. 10 minutes, guys. You're not presenting in class. I'm pretty sure that the other lecturer will do presentations in class. I don't know what the other lecturer's name is. Okay, guys, hopefully this makes sense. I hope that you do well in terms of this. Other than that, yeah, cheers, everyone.